All right, everybody, good evening. It's Wednesday night. It is time for our weekly conversations with Cougars, and man, we've got a good one tonight. 1985 graduate from the Sirmon family, Charles Sirmon. How are you doing tonight, bud?
Doing great. Thank you for inviting me. We're
Oh,
good.
it's my pleasure. Charles, I think you may now be at least the fourth Sirmon family member in the Sirmon family tree to be on the show, and I'm so glad that you're here tonight.
Yeah, Northview's a special place for a lot of us.
It really is, and even in a bigger picture, the city of Dothan has so greatly benefited from at least three generations of the Sirmon family being in education, being in sports, and just being community leaders, community contributors. So I guess looking the big picture, Charles, thank you and your family for what you guys have done for so many years.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. It is, it has to be a calling, a true love. And of course, we had our dad to thank for that kind of guided us through hopefully the right.
That's right. And that's kind of where I want to start, even though tonight is about you. For folks who don't know you or your family's origin story a little bit, share about your dad's involvement with the city of Dothan and just give us a quick broad stroke, and then we'll come to your generation and then the even younger generation as we go through this.
The other generation. But of course, my family moved to, my mom and dad were from Georgetown, Alabama, and moved to Dothan specifically to teach. My dad was the head football coach at Dothan High. And then I have two older siblings, Catherine, who also graduated from Dothan High. And I have my sister, Laura Hatcher, who graduated from Northview. I graduated from Northview. I believe I was the first class that actually went from sixth grade at Honeysuckle, 6, 7, 8, and then went to Northview 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th. So I think we were that group. We were the first sixth grade at Honeysuckle, and then we were the first group to kind of go through. That's sort of a little bit of trivia there. So really, our family has just been, education has been a part of the family. We watched my dad. We know how important education is. And I do think it takes a special person to do it. So that was really maybe not the field I thought about I was going to adventure into, but it's something I've been doing now for 33 years.
Awesome. And you know, it's interesting you bring up that trivia. I didn't know if others thought about that, because I always knew my class, the year behind you, 86, we were the second group to go 6, 7, 8. I was at Girard.
Yeah,
9, 10, 11, 12 to Northview. It's interesting you bring that up, because I've never heard anybody else mention that before, but that's very cool. But Charles, we already got some love for you in the house. We got Joseph Johnson, JJ. We got Charles Kelly Bronson. And of course, we've got sister Laura are already on board. We got Tara Wade Estes, who are here with us tonight so far.
And I stayed together a lot. Yes, a lot of those people, a lot of good friends, a lot of good people, lots of good people.
And maybe the one who has the memory for all of us. Shirley C sends her love.
Shirley C has the memory for everybody, I believe. She is, of course, all of our favorite fans.
It never fails when Shirley is on. Sometime in the next 30 minutes to an hour, you and I are not going to remember something, and Shirley will know it within 10 seconds.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And she's very good with, which I'm horrible with. So she's very good. Yes. And I was also a lucky enough member to be one of her famous office aides in the 80s.
Oh, that was a choice position held by many lucky souls. Well, Charles, growing up in Dothan, what part of the city, where was your family home?
Actually, I'm still there. Everybody, we grew up near Selma Street School. And I went to Selma Street School. And then after that, then I went 1 year at Montana because of the schoolings, and we moved. And so we've always been in Dothan, all of us, my whole entire life. And like I said, the two younger, we both graduated from Northview. But Dothan and that area is just still important to me. And I actually still live in the same neighborhood I grew up in, which is over by Selma Street School, and, you know, near Rep Hughes Stadium. It's always nice. I mean, if you do a long walk, stuff like that, It's so yeah, we were all born, raised, and all Dothan City School students, products of that. And like I said, most definitely the leadership of my father, and of course our sweet mom.
Of course, of course. And I told you I wasn't going to test your memory too much, so maybe
Oh,
this one won't be bad.
try me.
I'm also a product of Dothan City Schools, and I can count on at least almost close to 10 people that I'm thinking of who I went from pre-K or kindergarten all the way through Northview graduation. Did you have any classmates who were in the same schooling with you the whole way through?
I did. I did. I had Luann Radney. Oh, they're gonna get so mad. Those people that don't remember. I don't remember Allison. I don't know. All I know them is by their first last names.
Their maiden names,
Yeah,
sure.
there were quite a few of us. We started at Selma Street in the first
Mhm.
grade. We went all the way to Northview. We sure did. There was quite a few of us. Rod Daniels was also one. Earl Jones. We had quite a few. Sure did.
Yeah, that's fun. That I'm sure some of these folks you probably are still in touch with from time to time. And Charles, we got Scott Holmes. Hey, Scotty, good to see you, bud. Who was also one of your classmates, I believe, class of '85. But
Yes.
Charles,
Yes.
let's talk about. I don't want to get to Northview just quite yet,
Okay.
but during elementary and middle school, with your dad being the head football coach and coaching for so many years, was sports an integral part of y'all's childhood, or was it just a part of your childhood?
I would like to say it was probably a part of it. I mean, of course, we knew that Dad was always at I always want to say rehearsals, practice, because I get doing theater, a lot of the coaching terms come in. So
Sure.
it was a lot of, things were differently, maybe, but as in when it came down to the sports thing, yes, everybody in my family loves college football. We loved our high school football and so forth. But that was not the main driving factor behind the family. The main driving factor behind the family, I think, was teamwork, which has to do with sports. I mean, so I guess in a way it all kind of combines in all of our groups of being an educator, what we learn on the field, what we learn in the classroom, what we learn from a parent. Hopefully, as educators, we can share that to the young people. And I hope that I have a little bit of that I learned from growing up with my dad. So it was always not always sports. It wasn't always sports. It was always find something you like and then go for it.
Well, I was going to say it's you don't have just a little bit of that. You have a lot of that in you, and you've had it for many years to your credit. But not just athletics, but also academics and the arts. I'm sure were all part of your what you were exposed to as children, and maybe that you came to love it just in different ways and had different meaning to you, each of those aspects. Is that fair?
Yes, absolutely. Being the son of my dad played for the University of Alabama. That's how he got a scholarship. He hitchhiked to campus, and so that was an important part of his college life and how he got his education. But there was never any pressure or anything. It was always supportive of whatever we did in the school system, whether it been cheerleading, whether it been band, whether it been theater, any of those options. Just he wanted us to stay involved.
Charles, we got Slim McDuffie and Aristotle Kirkland have stopped by for a few minutes.
Wow.
And I'm telling you, they're rolling in for you tonight, bud. I knew they would.
Good.
I want to focus on the importance of being well-rounded in your experiences, just as a child, as a middle schooler, and then as a high schooler. You can have something that could be overbearing in a household, like having a coach and everybody has to fall in line. Right. Clearly, that was not your experience with you and your siblings and your mom. Right. But what was it about? What memories? What was it about growing up in Dothan that made Dothan a special place for you and your siblings at times?
I think it was, well, first of all, family, and and I guess my parents had met so many nice people once coming from a small town like Georgetown, Alabama, coming to Dothan, which at that time was not a large town, but considered large. So I think some of that growing up in middle school, like I said, elementary school, we were always active. I mean, we did things, we would participate in extracurricular activities. And like I said, a lot of sports oriented stuff, but we were also allowed the option to express ourselves pretty openly in whatever, just like we said, if you have a love of something, an interest in something, go for it. Does that kind of answer?
It does. And you're not going to know the answer to this, but I do. That's why I'm going to bring it up. My ninth grade homeroom teacher has just stopped by. Mary Van Landingham. Thank you, Miss Van Landingham.
Miss Van Landingham, yes. She remembers me, I'm sure.
I'm sure. Charles, what were some of your interests as a child, whether it was academics in school or riding your bike or going to the movies? What were some of the things that, in addition to maybe the sports element there that was always there, what were some of the things that really caught your attention and really were some of your first loves from a hobby, from an interest, maybe from a social standpoint?
I had a good close knit of friends, I guess, maybe starting early from the church, and which, and I think that just kind of getting a bonding group of friends that had a huge variety of background. I mean, diversity was already there. And so I think being able to hang out with different people, different backgrounds, and we all had the common goal, which was nice, especially that class of 85 or the ones we were with, was also grades. We were much more, or I thought, try to stay structured. But growing up, I think that was instilled in us in many ways, whether it be through church, whether it be through my parents, whether it be through just good friends, and just the common knowledge to try to be kind and do right by others.
Mm-hmm. It's in one way, growing up in Dothan in the late 70s, early 80s, it was kind of idyllic to me in that it was a small town.
And that's the thing, I guess, when you talk about the city, Dothan itself, I've liked what I think is very interesting is how much it's evolved. I mean, it has become a city. I mean, what do we have now? 4 Publix. So we're pretty much a city. We have, but I like I still think it still has a small town feel. I liked Dothan, and I still love Dothan because that's why I came back after studying in 2 different places and living in different places. But growing up in Dothan, there was always enough opportunity for young people like myself to do something. There was always, at least, and that's one thing I love about Dothan that's still continuing growing, whether it be in academics, where it's in sports, where it's in the theater, where it's in the arts, whatever. And I've served on some boards and things, and I think, I love old Dothan. I am an inside the circle. People still laugh at me, and I say I live inside the circle because if you live outside the circle, you have to come to me. But no, the growing up in Dothan as a young person, all I have is great memories, and that's why I came back.
What about you're the youngest of 3, is that right?
Yes.
You have one sister who goes to Dothan High. You have one sister who goes to Northview. Was there discussion amongst the family that you or the middle sibling would follow the footsteps and go to Dothan High? Or were you guys firmly, your house was in the Northview zone?
Yeah, what it was, my older sister went to, yes, she went, and I don't remember growing up when Northview started, because there was that rivalry, because we always have because I can remember the principal, don't make me there, beat me there, and all that. So there was probably some of that growing up with, but I guess because my older sister didn't have a competing high school at that point in time, it didn't really. Laura and I both loved Northview, and she was also, pep club president. She was very, very into all of that, and I was too.
Well, I was going to say and the timing of when Laura and you came through, and I'm 1 year behind you. We had a new school. The school opened in the fall of 78. You would have started, I guess, in the fall of maybe 81, because I started in the fall of 82. Our school's 4 or 5 years old at the most. We won a state championship your freshman year. And how crazy is the school spirit when you're getting into Northview? That's what I want to talk about for a few minutes, is school spirit inside the campus and in town.
Oh, I'm so glad I lived in that time period, especially in 1985. And like I said, Brian, you were right behind me. It was just, maybe, I'm sure everybody thinks this about their classes, but it was just a special year. It was a special group. I loved that time. I mean, and I think, like we said, being that first group that got to go through, and pep rallies were always such a big deal. And, your dressed up days, and, things were a little different, but the energy, it was just, game day was game day, and the world stopped, and especially on a night when Northview played Dothan High. It just, that was the place and the thing to do.
I want to ask, and I don't know, I want to ask about the Sirmon family conversations, if there were any, when Dothan and Northview squared off once a year. Did that become a playful banter within the family, or was it kind of we'll just keep to ourselves until it's over?
It was because I think when my nephews played, when they coached for Northview, and also, of course, away from Northview, President Reeves, we were all, there was no, it was their turn. It was their time. So there was none of that. No, we really didn't. I think, we wanted the family to win first. We did. I'm sure there was some joking with my older sister, Catherine. I'm not sure if you met her, but you would understand. She is, yeah. She needs to be on the Dothan High one. So we'll let them call her.
Oh, that's funny. That's so good. That's so good. Guys, I've got Charles Sirmon, 1985 grad, getting there, right in the prime, what I like to say. But for those of you who don't know the Sirmon family, there's 3 generations of Sirmon family members, starting with Charles's father, Bobby, who coached at Dothan High, the family full of educators, and then the younger generation, we got DR, we got Preston, we got a whole bunch of folks who are still continuing to be educators and coaches at different places, but Northview grads several years in the past, or several years ago, excuse me. But Charles, I want to go back to talking about school spirit, because I don't think the younger generation could appreciate how important, at least my perspective, how important our school spirit was, not just while you're at school, but in the community. And with it being, and now granted, football was and is, very important in small towns, but winning 2 state championships in that close period of time, I think just escalated it even more, helped to escalate it. And I don't mean to just look at football in a vacuum, because I know there are many other great parts of Northview, and there were state championships won in different, I think the theater, I think band, and other parts of the school that were recognized as state champions. But that school spirit just seemed to be so strong back in the late 70s, early 80s.
So strong. And, and I've discussed it. I have a classmate. She was Shawanda Harris. Now she's Shawanda Harris. She graduated in 1985. We were class favorites together. And, we've talked about that, just the spirit. And it was just a good time for me and all of us. I mean, my high school experience, I wouldn't really probably go back and change a thing. And we had such great administrators. We had great teachers. I mean, the energy was just out there, and you could just feel it when you walked in the door.
With that campus being as large geographically as it was, and as spread out as our campus was, to me, it felt like a junior college. It felt like that, to me, it was bigger than the experience of being at Wallace, just because of how large everything seemed to be. Did you ever have issues going from, say, the 700 hall to the gym or wherever in that 4 or 5 minute?
The gym was closer. If you had a class in the arts building, if you were down there like with Mr. Williams or something doing theater, if you had to get from that class to the 700 hall, it took 7 minutes, and they only gave us 5.
It was a quarter-mile walk. It was easily a quarter-mile walk.
But then sometimes I would just drop by and see Shirley C, and she might have just written me a pass.
Maybe. Now I will say, the statute of limitations is long gone. So you're in good hands tonight. Anything that you want to share. And that's where I want to go. That's where I want to go next. I want to talk about some of the off-campus fun times to blow off steam, hanging out with your friends. Where were some of the places that you guys would go?
I guess, oh gosh, during high school, we had a close group that we would usually just hang out at a friend's house, or we would go downtown. We had friends, we would go down to like the Miss Boomers, we'd go to the Patricia Bowling Alley. But back then, if you remember, they would have the dances on Friday. I mean, every Friday night you had a dance at Doug too. So, you had that every Friday home game to look forward to. And that was so cool. And I hate that. I mean, I know they still have them, but nothing like what we got to do.
Yeah, Doug too. And then occasionally at the Armory. I don't know if you ever had them over there.
The Armory, yes. And yeah, I did. I remember those. I just can still, every time I go to vote in Doug too, I'm like, yep, this used to, yep, still here.
That's
still
so
here.
Great. All right.
But we had some great memories.
Charles, I know that you briefly played football at Northview and then you went on to other greater endeavors. And I want to talk just for a few minutes about that experience of playing football. Maybe not many people remember that you played, but who were some of your
I don't know why. Yeah.
Who were some of your buddies in your class that were also on the team at the time?
Yeah, I mean, I when I was playing at times with David Dennis, I was playing with. I have to go back and look at the yearbook, and I enjoyed it. I played 6th grade, 7th, 8th, but I was, like I told you before, I had probably the perfect size, but I was not very good. But I tried, and then it just, for me, and like you said, it's the not that I had that I should have been something because of what my dad was. I did feel like, but once I decided where I was going to go to, which was going to be in the performing arts or the arts or literature or humanities, that once I gave up or decided football was not it, I immediately went 100% into that. And that's just what I need to do. And until this past year, once I did that, and I've done a lot of shows, I've directed a lot of shows from Dothan High to Chipola to out of Wallace. And until last year, he never missed one of them.
I've had many on this show who also had more passion for other parts of their life than sports. And some of whom were the sons of coaches, some of whom just followed their buddies because from a social aspect. Some of it just fell out of love of the sport because other things are more important. Everybody has their journey. Everybody has their story.
Right. Oh, yes.
But the fact that you made the move, I think, was the biggest thing, because it's far too easy to just keep doing the same thing and being internally miserable because you think you're pleasing other people.
Right.
As opposed to just facing it and making that move. And I think making that move is such, and you may not have realized it or thought about it at the time, or you might have, it's such a life lesson. It's such a pivotal time. And I'll give you a real quick example. I had a daughter who played college lacrosse. Hope she doesn't see this. She's going to be mad at me. But she just eventually, it was not her passion any longer. And she knew what she wanted to do. But the fact that she had to go tell the coach was one of those key moments in her life. And others have told me this on the show. It's one of the key moments in their life where they'll never forget it, because you had to face the biggest fear was going to that coach or making that decision. Coach, this is just not for me anymore. I need to do something different in life. Did you have that type of a moment? Or maybe not, but did you ever have that moment where it was just time and you knew it?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I did. And, when you're in the 10th grade, 11th grade, you really don't know. Because even when I think of freshman in college, they say, "What's your major?" You're like, "What are you talking? What do you mean a major?" So yes, I mean, no, I knew it, and it was really Probably if I'd have been like starting every game and did this and that, people would be like, oh my gosh. But it was more, it was okay. It was okay. It was all right. It was all right. I enjoyed my time. I enjoyed the people I played with and worked with. And of course, then we did other, some people in the athletic department got involved with the arts. I mean, a lot of us did, eventually.
Say, there were several, Joseph Johnson, Mark Kingery among them, who also sang in the choir. And there are others who acted in plays. So I want to pivot to that, Charles. I want to talk about Dothan's art scene in the 80s, 90s, and coming forward. I think at least from my outsider's perspective, it's always been underrated. I think people who were involved in it intimately in Dothan knew about it, of course, but I think outside of the metro area or the Wiregrass, I don't know how well it's been publicized over the years, or maybe that's just me not knowing.
Well, you got the past 22 years I was in Mariana. So that was part of my publicity and the type things. But for that area, but this area, yes, the arts are they're very important to me, but the city's behind the new arts, the project downtown, we're working on that. So some of us that got out and about, not only did we go into education, and hopefully, like when I was growing up, there was always SEACT, which is the Southeast Alabama Community Theater. I did a children's show there one summer. There was, little things at church or, different activities. But I was always I lived behind a couple of people that did local theater. So I would go and see their shows. And I guess, so maybe just at an early age when I would go see productions, that just sort of got the mind going. And nobody else in my family is a theater. I mean, they enjoy it and appreciate it and support it, but I was just the one that's what I fell into.
What is your earliest memory going to Montgomery or Atlanta or even New York to see a Broadway type play and having that experience make such an impression?
Believe it or not, the local theater at an age, I thought, wow. But then I remember it was, I had just graduated from Northview, and I was somewhere in Auburn, and I had just enough money to go to New York for 6 days. And that was when, that would have been in 1987. Mm-hmm. So it was pretty rough up there. That was in the late 80s, but I knew then, I was like, wow, this is maybe where I want to spend a few years up here. So yes.
And while you were your years in Auburn, were you involved in the theater arts?
Yes, I did 4 seasons there at Auburn, and got very lucky. Was cast in a lot of shows, got some scholarship recipient money, got a lot of state recognition, and then really, like I said, wasn't thinking about being an educator, and then came back. The job came open at Dothan High, which was kind of crazy because I graduated from Northview, and then the rest is history. And another couple of degrees down, and I've been doing it for 33 years.
I was going to say that's, once you're a student of the arts, I think you're always a student. You may achieve certain degrees or levels of achievement, but I suspect, like anything else, like whether you're in the band and play an instrument or you play a sport, you're constantly learning your craft. And I guess that's would hold true for what you've done all these years.
Yes, it does. And even, like next week we have a local event. I don't, but I'm like, doing some adjudicating and judging young people that are looking either for scholarships or stuff in an arts, that, that's all in Dothan. So that's also nice that we have those opportunities for young people.
Oh, that's fantastic. Oh, we got some more Cougars who've joined us. We got Hunter Parrish. We got Chuck.
Hello,
Jackson.
Hunter.
Chuck Jackson. Yeah.
Who else?
Shirley C said she always heard about the power lines on Monday mornings, but she never knew where they were. Charles, would you care to educate Miss C about the power lines?
I don't remember that. Should I?
It was one of the hangouts. I want to say it was maybe toward Hartford. Somebody.
Oh, yes, the power lines. I think it used to be called back in the day Hilltop.
There you go.
I don't think.
Yeah, I do remember the power lines. Yeah, but of course, Miss C, I would never go out there with any of those people. No, Miss C,
Ever.
no,
Ever.
never.
All right, we got a
No, I didn't hang
question.
it. No. I don't know anything about it. I would have found out about that from my older sister who went to Dothan High.
There we go. Now, keep in mind, both of them will eventually, somebody's going to see this video, Charles. All right,
I'm
here's a
sure. Yeah,
question.
they'll pay backs. Yeah, I'm sure.
Here's a question that I bet may not be real easy for you to answer, or it may come immediately.
Okay.
Tara wants to know, what is your favorite Broadway show?
Tara, I knew she'd get me on that one. My favorite all-time Broadway show. Ooh, I'm going to say it's because it's probably Gypsy. Now she'll know that show. It's called Gypsy, and it was the one I saw with Tyne Daly.
Mm-hmm.
And then probably, if not, that's probably my favorite show. That's probably my favorite. That's hard. I've been going since '87, and actually Tara and I went to high school together and then have taught together, and we've been to New York together quite a bit. So I don't know what Tara's favorite show is, but that's probably one of my favorites. And I try to go up as much as I can.
Tara said choosing a favorite show is like choosing your favorite child. Yeah, I get it. I get it.
Yeah, she gets it. And Tara gets the theater. Yeah, she's right. She's right.
Charles, I'll throw mine out there is Jersey Boys. I'm a big
that is one of my top. That's one of the top 10. I mean, I really like that show.
Frankie Valli music it gets me. It just
they actually, a former student of mine, Mike Milton, just wrapped up the tour show of that production. So yes, he did the Broadway national tour of that show. So, but yeah, that's one of my tops. I do love that show.
And want to welcome Jason Mullins is with us. Hey, Jason, thanks for coming each week. Charles, let's go back to I want to talk about a correlation between being part of a sports team, being part of a theater troupe, being part of a band, just being part of a larger entity, and how some of those lessons that we learn, and you've already shared a little bit of that when you made that life choice to stop football and to just do the theater arts, but how important is it to being part of a larger team or group, and the lessons that you might learn as you're growing older and learning more about yourself and others?
Well, we had good instructors at Northview, and I believe it sort of goes back to coaching. I consider myself a theater coach. I think you have to, those lessons that were learned is what I learned from playing at Northview and then from my dad is that literally it's a team, and you've got to be a part of a team, whether you're a part of a cast, whether you're part of a band, you're part of the cheerleading squad, you're part of I think when you find you a group that you connect with, and it's for a positive reason, that's probably one of the safest ways you can get through high school and enjoy it to the fullest. And so I hope that young people still to this day, they can find sports, theater, whatever they can find something in high school. And I was lucky enough, I had a wide variety of opportunities at Northview and got to experiment with, quite a few different activities, from club stuff to helping with, anything. Like I said, it was just a variety. We got a very good open exposure to everybody.
From a confidence standpoint, from a socialization standpoint, I think you're so right that if you can attach yourself to an early positive group as you're breaking into that new environment, that's got to just help in volumes for most people in comparison to those who just are existing and just hadn't found their niche.
And it has to do, like I said, with our leaders, with our coaches, with the teachers. I mean, if you can find, they're there, and there's so many of them out there that lead these different programs. You're right, that there's a lot of coaches that don't coach sports.
That's exactly right. Charles, for $1.25, what could you get at the lunch line?
Nothing.
For $1.25.
Yes. Yeah. Where can I get what now?
If you remember, $1.25, maybe $1.50, you'd get you a nice rectangle piece of pizza. You could maybe get a lemonade, maybe some fries. I know that was a staple for 4 years in the lunch line during our years.
Oh yeah, don't even get me started on the lunchroom. Oh yeah, we had our own. That was before any rules, obviously, as you can tell. I enjoyed, yes, the lunchroom was top notch at Northview. They even had a line that was back in the day, it was just pizza and fries.
That's right. That's right. Now,
and the smoking section that you could look out and watch.
You just beat me to the punch. If you remember, back in the day, we had a smoking section right outside the lunchroom where also the guys who rode their motorcycles would also park right there as well.
Oh, that's right. Yes. I did forget about that part.
Now, I want to stick in the interior of the school, and I don't know who the architects were at the time. Maybe Shirley does or doesn't want to tell us. But the fact that they lined up all those lockers the way they did in that central area, that never made any sense to me. You remember what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I did. I think that one time, I don't really know why they did that. I'm not sure either. Maybe I didn't know if they were going to make it into a performance space. I wasn't sure what they were going to do with it. And I don't even know what they do with it now.
I think, or at least several years ago, I saw it was just an open area. All the lockers were now wrapped around the library and down certain halls, as they are probably in most school settings.
Yeah, that's true. And probably that middle one, those lockers, unless somebody was standing up at the top where there was cameras, I don't know. I mean, like I said, we were in a different world. It was the early 80s, and we didn't have a phone, thank God. I mean, all that stuff, Yeah. But yeah, I don't know what they did with that middle room. I have no idea what they did with that big locker room.
Guys, I'm talking with Charles Sirmon, class of 85. Charles, I want to talk about Friday nights at Rip Hughes Stadium. Whether you were as a youngster, I don't know how far into your age that your dad coached, but the memories of going to Northview games, what was it like being at Rip Hughes for those games?
Oh, it was always great. The energy was always great. It was, just sitting in that student section, you'd get there early, you would do the whole thing, the dressing to get, whether I was playing the first 2 years, or in the first 2.5 years, having the support from the stands or being one of the people in the stands. Yeah. It was truly a hometown night. It was always exciting, always exciting.
Now, one of the unique things to me about Rip Hughes, those experienced families knew to bring butter and something to spread the butter with, because what?
Was it the corn?
No, the bread factory across the parking lot.
Oh God, yeah. You would sit and I think you gained 20 pounds just smelling it. Oh, it was good.
It was at halftime. Good. At halftime, you could see the people just hoofing it across that parking lot. But you're right, that smelled, at least to me, it was one of the unique.
I forgot about the smell. Yes, the bread factory. Oh yeah. Of course, the Sirmons. We like our food, and of course we smelled for the freshly baked bread.
You're right, Bud Young. It was the best smelling stadium in the nation.
Yeah.
Well, Charles, we've got a couple of more minutes, and I appreciate your time so far. Tara says it was the Colonial Bread Factory.
And she's right.
Yeah.
She is right. She's always so smart.
I'm going to throw some names out, and I want you to, some of these teachers and educators we have, and give me some first impressions.
Okay.
Coach Floyd Griffin.
Love him. One of the greatest men to walk. I can't love the man. My dad just top notch teacher, top notch coach, understood students, listened to students, huge impact on me.
Elaine Johnson.
Elaine Johnson, fantastic counselor, and worked out there. Gosh, she was so strong in the arts, and and her, like you said her son was also a part of the arts. Her daughter Carrie was a part of the arts out there. So with Elaine Johnson's guidance, we just got a little extra. It was just a nice extra adult that would guide you in the right direction, and I think she was great at that.
Norma Jean Spivey.
Oh, Norma Jean. Well, let's see. I may have had my first underage drink with her, but it was in London on one of her trips. And you could do that over there. But
That's
no,
right.
I mean, Norma Jean was one of those. She got me out and about. Like, when some people would do other things or raise money, like when she went to Europe, that was where I wanted to go. That was what I wanted to do. That was kind of my goal and that type of stuff. So, I mean, she really just expanded our eyes and let us go to, literally, when you went on a trip, you got to see everything in those countries. So, and she was such a great teacher. She was so kind, so sweet. I mean, I'm sure, did you have her?
I did, and I took one of those trips to Europe as well with her.
Fantastic. Maybe you abided by all the rules.
It's not about me tonight, Charles. It's about you. Larry Williams. Got a couple more for you. Larry Williams.
Larry Williams. Well, Larry Williams was my English teacher, and then he was like, "We need guys to do the theater. Will you audition for a show?" A friend of mine, Lauren, she was Lauren Wade at that time, which is a year older than me, kind of talked me into auditioning for a show. And then Larry had a strong program, as you remember, and that's where actually I got a lot of my scholarship opportunities from. Larry was a good man, good director, very organized. He was tough. He's a tough coach. He was a tough coach, but I learned a lot from him, and I miss him every day.
Catherine Forster.
A joy. I still get to see her at church. I mean, Catherine was, we had our challenges because she thought I could sing and I didn't think I could sing, and we just sort of went around with that situation. But I thought what she was also doing down there in that program was excellent, and I enjoyed every moment I had with her. And she was good friends like Norma Jean. They were all, if you remember, so many of the faculty hung out together. And I thought that was sort of nice too.
You'd also see a lot of them sitting together at the Northview football games or baseball, basketball, whatever sport.
Always.
They supported the school regardless of what the arts or whatever was going on. That's what I always appreciated about them as well.
Yeah, I did too. We had a great faculty, excellent faculty. Yeah, most
Last
definitely.
one, Ruth Hooks.
Oh, love Ruth. That was when I believed, I was like, is this how college is going to be? And she was an excellent instructor my senior year. She really prepped me because I was not that strong in English. Tara can tell you that if she's still listening. So I think Ruth Hooks really challenged me academically wise, hopefully become a better writer, but she was also supportive of once again, we had those teachers. If we were in a show and we had something like that, they would go see us. I mean, if somebody that was, but it was just, she was another one, a huge supporter.
Those names that you listed for me earlier that we've just run through, to me, those are some of the more memorable educators, administrators, and just leaders of our school during our years. And like you mentioned earlier in our conversation, they were such contributing factors to our experiences during these impressionable years. And I'm just so thankful for them. And
we had such, and I think we had a strong principal. I thought, I mean, I can just, like I said, I can still remember him at those pep rallies getting everybody fired up. And,
when he would say his famous last poem, he never could finish it because the entire student body would finish his last couple of lines. Don't meet me there, beat me there.
Beat me there. And we'd go crazy.
Charles, I'm going to get you out of here in 2 minutes.
All right, thank you, sir.
We're almost done.
Okay.
Your passion for the city of Dothan clearly is still there. Your passion for your time at Northview and Dothan City Schools clearly still there. And this is, I guess, my way of, again, thanking you for just who you were back in the day. I know you and I we knew of each other. We weren't in the same social circles, but I certainly knew who you were and a little bit about what you stood for. And to me, as an outside observer and a year behind you, you were one of the older students, because you were a year ahead of me, that just made my experience that much better, even though we didn't really interact very much, or if really much at all, but we certainly knew a lot of similar people in our social. So thank you for just being you.
Well, thank you, Robert. I appreciate it. I appreciate it. And I've enjoyed doing this and spending the time with you tonight and talking about some good old NHS days.
And if any of you guys want to meet Charles at the Power Lines, he's giving tours on Tuesday nights at 8 o'clock, but you got to get in touch with him ahead of time.
No, call Shirley C, because she's driving the church van.
That's right. That's right. Guys, this is why I do these conversations most Wednesday nights. We need some more folks to step up, telling some of the history of Northview sports and Northview and the city of Dothan. That's why. This is fun. This is good stuff. And we had over 30 different Cougars to drop in tonight to say hello to Charles. Comments. Thank you, Charles.
All right. Thank you, my friend.
Be safe out there. I'm still trying to line folks up. So just keep coming back on Wednesday nights. Y'all take care.
Thank you, sir. Good night.